Wow, WandaVision was quite the exhilarating and emotionally powerful ride, wasn't it? Well, it's over now. Time to move on to the next thing.
The legacy of that shield is complicated.
Hello everybody, I'm Kate Cass, and today we're going to take a look at what we can expect from the upcoming Marvel Disney Plus series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This was a topic requested by our high-level patron, Sebastian Canino of Cinemageddon Reviews. More on that at the end, but for now, let's get to the subject at hand. I've made it no secret that when Disney announced there would be a collection of miniseries connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this was the one I was most excited for. In the last few months, we've had some trailers released for the series, and judging from the less than 5 minutes worth of footage that we've gotten, it's everything I wanted it to be. From a production standpoint, the show seems to be keeping up the high movie-like quality that WandaVision accomplished, while keeping it in tone with the Russo Captain America movies. Back alley brawlouts, elaborate car chases, and those fluid flight sequences with Falcon in the canyon that's just beautiful. What I'm saying is that it looks like we won't have to wait long for that pulse-pounding action. From a story perspective, there are some things we can gauge from what we've been given so far, where the MCU currently is and how that could affect familiar characters, and some eagle-eyed viewers who know more about comic canon than me. The feeling I get from seeing events from Falcon and the Winter Soldier glimpsed at is that it's going to continue the trend set by WandaVision and even Spider-Man Far From Home, showing another corner of this universe that was greatly affected by the blip and the 5-year gap, which I have really loved about recent stories in the MCU. This is something that affected the entire universe for a really long time. It's not something where everything goes right back to where they were after things were essentially fixed. There are a lot of extenuating circumstances, some the MCU has already explored from various areas of life in this universe, and some it hasn't. I'm interested to see what new angles will be explored in this series. Like Far From Home, it looks like the show will also be looking into the hole left behind by the loss of an Avenger. In this case, obviously, that's Captain America. What happens when such an important symbol of hope and ideals disappears in a very confusing time for the world? Well, I guess we're going to find out. One thing all this is definitely going to affect is the characters. Before we talk about our two leads, let's go over some of the other characters we've gotten a look at, like the return of Sharon Carter. I don't know if it was announced she'd be in the show before the trailer started dropping, but I'm really glad to see her again. I feel like she has a lot of untapped potential and got dealt a bad hand in the movie so far. I'm looking forward to seeing how more screen time helps expand her character, especially knowing what we know now about her family. WandaVision did an amazing job endearing me to less notable characters, and I hope this show will do the same for Sharon. We also had the back of this guy dressed like Captain America at an event. It's clearly not Sam or Bucky, so who the heck is he? Well, according to comic fans, he could be another character who has taken on the Captain America title, John Walker, or US Agent. From what I can tell, this is all but confirmed by Marvel themselves, thanks to set photos and leaked merchandise tie-ins. Don't worry, I'm not going to share anything like that here, but just from my brief research on US Agent, this could add a lot of conflict to who should take on the mantle of Captain America. Was this guy appointed by the government as a replacement? Did someone disapprove of or not believe that Sam was Cap's chosen successor? Right now, I'm really intrigued to see what they do with him in the series. Who knows? Maybe it has something to do with the return of Zemo. You can recognize him now because he has his full face mask. And in true MCU fashion, they managed to make this very comic book design not look silly in live action. I don't know how they do it. It's tough to say what Zemo will be up to in the series for sure, but given his history with blaming the Avengers for his tragedies, it could be really interesting to see how he does in this post-blip world. More importantly, did he get blipped, or is he someone who had to live through those difficult 5 years? And if that's the case, how did that affect his already negative view of our heroes? This is just going to be a thing with MCU characters we haven't seen for a while. The first thing everyone wants to know, did they turn to dust? Time will tell, but like a lot of things we've seen so far, there's a lot of potential here. Then we get the stars of the show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So far, what we've seen of these two is everything I was hoping it would be. Reluctant allies with banter and bickering being the only interactions they have in any of the promos. Heck, the Super whole trailer was bookended by them appearing to be in a group therapy session. It was the best. Sam's got a cool new Falcon suit, though not as stars and stripes as I expected, but we'll get to that. And you know Bucky's putting his anti-hero grunge face behind him because he cut his hair. I'm very curious to know just how Bucky's doing. Just in his appearance, it feels like he's trying to put the Winter Soldier identity as far back as he can. He's even concealing his robot arm more, but he's still ready to get into a fight and can still do that twirling knife move. And really, isn't that all that matters? Aside from his change in appearance, I can't really gauge anything else from Bucky in the trailers, aside from the difficulties he's having working with Sam. Which brings us to Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, except not yet. Kind of. I saw Anthony Mackie interviewed on The Late Late Show and was surprised to hear him say that Sam was not Captain America. But looking back on the promotional material for the purpose of this video, this is an inner conflict that is highly alluded to. After all, just because Steve saw Sam was worthy of the shield doesn't mean he does. Can he take on the mantle of such an inspirational person who is also his friend? Does he even want that for himself? And even if he does, how will he convince those around him who seem to have other plans for what Captain America should be? Now, just on legacy alone, it's very likely that Sam will don the mantle by the end of the series. Maybe even with a costume change like in that other Marvel show that just ended. But I think Sam's going to have to see that for himself before any of us will get to. Even though we all know it's totally going to happen. These trailers and seeing how this formula works through WandaVision embodies what I was hoping these Marvel Disney Plus shows would be. Expanding on great characters who haven't gotten the central focus yet because they were supporting players to bigger heroes. But now it's their turn, and there is a lot of promise from just these few minutes of footage. Much like WandaVision, I'd imagine there's quite a bit we aren't seeing yet. Plot twists and story developments, and maybe even more returning characters. I know it's unlikely, but I'm kinda hoping we get an appearance from Everett Ross, if for no other reason than to explain how Zemo escaped from under his nose. I waited a long time for the series to come around, and it's almost unreal to know that we are less than a week away from that very first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Are you guys as excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier as I am? Has the recently dropped trailers affected your excitement? Is there anything you guys glean from the trailers that I might have missed? And just for fun, is there an MCU character that has not been in these promos that you hope makes an appearance on the show? Keep that one somewhat reasonable though. This is likely not where any of the Fantastic Four are going to show up. Just saying. Once again, thanks to Sebastian Canino for suggesting we cover this topic. Definitely check out his channel, Cinemageddon Reviews, as his team has a content output speed that I greatly envy. If you'd like the opportunity to request that I cover some entertainment news, you can do so by contributing to the $10 tier on my Patreon. On a related note, I will be doing Patreon exclusive first impressions videos on every single episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier the day after they're released. So if you want to keep up with my reactions to the show in real time, you can see all that by becoming a $5 patron while also supporting my content. It really helps me out. But you know what? Still just watching this video. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.